February 24, 2022, Russia invades Ukraine.
We will stop Putin from using his war chest. We will paralyze the assets of Russia's central bank.
When war broke out in Europe in early 2022, the European Union and their leaders were quick to respond. The sanctions imposed on Russia were fierce, fast, and targeted most aspects of the Russian economy. The general feeling was that Putin would soon be forced to end his aggression against Ukraine. But just a year later, the reality is quite different. The sanctions have neither cracked Russia's economy nor forced Putin to stop waging war. And there are several reasons for this failure.
Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
The EU has introduced several packages of sanctions, and the sanctions are now so tough that it is difficult to even find new areas that really hit the Russian economy. But as so many times before, the belief in international sanctions proved to be based on wishful thinking. Sanctions have not stopped North Korea from acquiring nuclear weapons, nor Iran from continuing to try, nor will they force Putin to end his international law-violating war against Ukraine. But they do give Russia's opponents a sense of action without directly intervening in the actual war. In reality, the Russian economy is estimated to grow by 0.3% this year. So there's no point at all with the sanctions? Well, the sanctions are having a dampening effect on Russia. Putin will find it harder to supply his war industry with modern technology from the West when, for example, semiconductors no longer can be imported to Russia. When the West has stopped buying Russian oil and even put a price cap on it internationally, it reduces Russia's income. The fact that so many Western companies have closed their factories and left the country for good is hurting Russian growth and tax revenues. But that's not at the level that it will force Putin to quit. That's mainly because of two things. Number one, there are always countries, companies, and individuals who will make it their business to violate sanctions. There is big money to be made here. Russia can import most of what it needs, even if it is a bit more expensive. Reports out of Russia often tell of shelves in the shops that are still full of goods from the West. Number two, none of the former Soviet republics surrounding Russia, apart from Belarus, are subject to any sanctions. Kazakhstan, Georgia, or Azerbaijan can operate as usual, and they all border with Russia directly. And corruption among border police and customs officials is rampant. In fact, the majority of the world's countries have not imposed any sanctions at all. In practice, only the US, Canada, the EU, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand have imposed sanctions on Russia. For the rest of the world, it's business as usual with Moscow. Some countries have taken advantage of the situation and multiplied their trade with Russia. India has increased it by 400% and is taking the opportunity to buy Russian oil at bargain prices. At the root of this is also a high degree of a distrust of the West's motives. Many buy, at least in part, Putin's view that it is NATO that provoked the war by expanding eastwards, and thus becoming at least a potential threat to Russia. South Africa, for example, holds a military exercise with Russia on the anniversary of Russia's invasion. Since Russia trained many of the black human rights fighters during apartheid, the ANC feels they owe a debt of gratitude. For sanctions to seriously hamper Putin's ability to wage war, virtually the whole world will have to get behind them. That will not happen.
We will stop Putin from using his war chest. We will paralyze the assets of Russia's central bank.